everyone. Welcome to Third Shot Podcast. We've got a great episode in store for you, but before we jump into it, please head on over to our social media, Instagram and Facebook at Third Shot Podcast, or on X at Third Shot Pod. You can also watch us on YouTube. Just search up Third Shot Podcast and you'll find us there waiting for you to join us. And you can also check out our website, thirdshotpodcast.com.
I think you are ready for a shot. You had a long day.
I did have a very long day. So, cheers to us and making it through our Monday.
Yes. Cheers. I just realized that earlier before we started recording, I said today was Tuesday. That's how long today was for
Oh
both of
my
us.
gosh. For the both of us, what the heck?
I don't
Tis the
know.
season
It
or
was one of
something.
those days.
Yeah. Well, I've got something fun for us too. Well,
Okay.
more so for me, but also it's fun for you because I know how much you love new snacks.
I do.
And I always keep an eye out for pickle stuff
Yeah.
because obviously our association with pickleball and pickles. So at Five Below, do you all have Five Belows in California?
We don't. We don't.
Okay.
But I go to the Five Belows in Vegas when I come visit you.
So it's kind of like a Dollar Tree, but usually around $5 rather than $1. And they have a huge candy section. And I found this new candy called Poppin' Pickles, and the brand is called Goopers.
Nice. Oh,
So judging
so what is it?
it's described to be a juicy sour pickle artificial flavored center, so like gooey stuff on the middle, and
Okay.
then the outside is a sweet pickle flavored gummy candy. So pickle
Oh.
on the outside, pickle on the inside.
Is it all soft or is it a hard outside?
It feels soft and it's kind of cute because look, it comes in its own little like plastic case.
Oh, how cute. It's a pickle plastic case.
Yeah, so maybe after this I can save it and just carry around a pickle in my pickle case.
We gotta be carrying pickles everywhere.
I think at this point we ought to. All
You know what? We
right.
should have a pickled shaped business card.
Yes.
You
That's
know,
genius.
we should do that
Yeah.
because it'll be, you know how when you put the business cards in for free drawings, if it's shaped like a pickle, it's gonna get picked.
Because you always pick a pickle.
It's in the word. Pick is in the word. So it's gotta okay. So it is soft. You're pulling it.
Yeah.
Nice.
So for our listeners, I highly suggest you go onto YouTube and look at this little
And
gummy pickle.
okay, bite it. Let's get the review right live.
Okay. So first of all, it smells like um, candy mixed with those bread and butter pickles because the bread and
Uh-huh.
butter pickles are kind of sweet. It
Uh-huh.
smells like that.
All right. Bridgie's taking her first bite. Oh, it's kind of hollowy and or it's the
Gooey.
gooey part is it's almost like you're looking inside of a strawberry.
Mm. Yeah,
The
like it's
shape.
hollow,
Yeah,
but it has
but it's green and
goo.
it's gooey and you taste it must be pickly.
It's not that pickly.
What? The whole
It just
thing is a pickle.
right, and it's not sour. The texture is very odd because look how thick that is.
It is, yeah.
Um,
It's much thicker than like a gummy bear.
yeah, I don't even know what to compare this to, but
But it's subtle pickle?
very subtle, like as if you ate a pickle for lunch and now you're having some gummy candies.
Okay. Kinda linger, that lingering pickle flavor.
Yeah, and I thought it was gonna be much more sour
Mhm.
than what it is, but it's not sour at all. These are
Well,
kind
I'm
of fun.
not huge on sour, so maybe this is gonna be right up my alley.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna save one for you to taste, but it's good. It's just kind of sweet, kind of a little bit tart, but I wouldn't if I tasted it not knowing it was pickle, I would not describe it as a pickle taste.
Okay. So, when you have snacks, if it's a good snack, can you stop? Or do you just power through a whole bag of whatever?
No, I think you knew what my answer would be too, because we're the foodies that go out and eat and look for the most delicious bite, and yeah, when I have something delicious, I can't stop, and that's my problem.
So I love the delicious bite. I, I'm all for good food, but I can stop on snacks, which I know
Really?
I'm rare. Usually people cannot stop on snacks, whether it's like fries or chips. Popcorn, I have a tough time stopping on. In the
Mhm.
movie, I'll finish the whole tub of popcorn, but I think it's just because I'm sitting there for 2 hours and it's sitting in my lap, so I'm just gonna keep
Yeah.
munching on it. But if I have an opportunity just to, like, close up a bag of something and put it away, I will eat I'll eat enough, but I won't finish a whole bag.
Oh my gosh. Well, chips are definitely my weakness. Like, if I open a bag, game over. Like, well, maybe not like a full, like this party size. I don't think I can polish off a party size bag, but yeah, I can go in on some chips for
Yeah,
sure.
I mean, I love my chips. In fact, what we did recently was we sent out to a bunch of different people and we said, "There's 12 different types of chips, rank the top 5," right?
Yes. Yep.
Yes. Right, you saw that little thing that we sent out. So, I got so hooked on that, I went out, like, the next day and I bought, like, 5, 6 different types of chips, and I said, "Alright, we're doing live taste testing, and we're just munching through all these different types of chips."
I love
And
that.
it was interesting because a lot of them I've never had before because they were just kind of those unique flavors that
Mm.
kinda specialty flavors. So, anyway, I tried them all out, and I surprised myself. The ones that I thought were gonna be my favorite weren't my favorite.
Oh, do you remember what those flavors were?
So, the spicy Doritos, it's a honey chili Dorito, I think. And there was kind of another spicy Lay's. All the spicy ones I liked. The
Mhm.
non-spicy ones I didn't like. I really liked the pickled pretzels.
Pickled pretzels.
They were a snack, like a bag, and it was pickled flavored pretzels, and those were very, very good. They weren't my favorite out of all the chips I tried, but they were up there. Yeah,
I've never even seen those. I'll have to
I'm
keep an
gonna
eye out at the store.
I will find some and bring them down to you, or I'll send them down to you.
Perfect. I did see a pickled flavored flaming hot Cheeto over the weekend. And so, yep, sure enough, I bought a bag and I tasted it. And those were actually very good, but I couldn't eat a lot of them for some reason. Like, I think the flavoring of it was a little bit too rich, but
Mm.
it's good. Like the pickle flavor on it, and it's not as spicy as like a regular flaming hot Cheeto.
So I saw a list earlier today. It's funny we're talking snacks. I didn't know we were gonna talk snacks, but I saw a list. What do you think is the snack that is the worst for you? Worst for your
Oh,
health?
Takis, hands down.
Nope.
What?
Wasn't even on the top 10.
Oh gosh. Okay, worst snack.
Snack,
Oh,
not
like
candy.
chips.
It could be a chip, it could be a snack,
Okay.
could be a
French fries.
cracker. What's that?
French fries.
Nope.
What the heck? Okay, one last guess.
But I did read that a cheeseburger and fries is worse for you than 2 cheeseburgers.
Oh, okay, so fries are
The fries are
not.
worse than a cheeseburger, yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Ooh, okay, I'm gonna say, Oreos.
Oreos was on the list, yes.
Mm, alright.
And
What was number 1 though?
number 1 was the Ritz with the processed cheese. The cheese and cracker Ritz, those were the worst for you.
Whoa.
Yes,
I would have
and the
never guessed that.
Cheetos was on the list, and Doritos was on the list.
Because I think it's the chemicals, like,
Yeah.
my mom sends me all of these, things off of, like, Instagram and stuff about processed foods and chemicals and stuff like that, and Doritos, I've heard, and Cheetos.
Yeah,
There's
and
another
Auntie says the processed cheese is the worst. Don't
like
eat
Cheese
the
Whiz and
processed
stuff
cheese,
like
yeah,
that.
yeah. But yeah, that was the
Interesting.
worst, worse than all those other things. A Reese
Gosh.
or yeah, a Ritz with cheese. So
That's
anyway,
fun.
I am so glad we have the guest that we have on today. Because as I've been mentioning to you, I've tweaked myself and not even playing pickleball, so I just was the old man injury, got up out of my chair and tweaked something on my body. And I've been sore for days now. And luckily, our next guest, the founder and creator of the pickle stick, Jimbo Lord, is with us today, and he sent us the pickle stick, and I have been taking advantage of that baby. I've been rubbing it on, and I'm gonna hold my review till we bring Jimbo on, but um, hang in there. We're going to bring Jimbo on. And while you're hanging in there, please go and take a look at our social media and please like us, follow us, give us the stars. You know the drill. If you haven't done it yet, what are you waiting for? Go on to Facebook, Twitter, or not Twitter anymore, X. And what am I missing? Instagram, YouTube. Please give us the big 5 stars and a big high five and comment while you're at it. And on that, let's bring on Jimbo. Hey, Jimbo, welcome to Third Shot.
Uncle Greg, great to connect. Good to see you.
Thanks so much for joining us. We are so excited to hear more about the pickle stick. But before we get into how great of a product it is, we're going to do a little toast to you, Jimbo, the founder of the pickle stick.
Cheers. I forgot
Cheers.
my shot glass, but I got a I got a
Maybe
water bottle.
You got a
you got
big
the
one.
ping pong version of whatever you're drinking there.
It has a pickleball paddle on it, so
Oh,
I
I love
like
it.
that.
we're in spirit.
Yes. Well, share with our guests, how did you get into the sport of pickleball? Were you introduced or did you stumble upon it yourself?
I stumbled upon it. Really, the journey for the pickle stick begins for me like 15 years ago. But pickleball didn't come into my life really until last year's. But the journey of wellness for me, which I'm so passionate about, started in high school. I got a lot of concussions. I was a big athlete, played football, ski raced, loved being active, got a lot of concussions through football and ski racing, 4 in 1 year, my sophomore year.
Whoa.
Um,
Oh gosh.
and I was wrecked. I mean, I was wearing sunglasses inside. Had to miss school for a while, and I was seeing neurologists. No one could really figure out the issue, the reason why my symptoms were lasting so long. And my brother actually introduced me to CBD, which at the time was super new. It was just legalized in Colorado. This was probably 2009, 2010 maybe. And that really changed my life. I was taking it orally, sunglasses came off, headaches subsided, and I gained this really deep reverence for the plant. Truly gave me my life back. A few years later in college, I was a junior in college, I got diagnosed with chronic Lyme disease. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Lyme disease.
Yeah, a
You,
little.
yeah, you get it from a tick. I didn't see the tick bite, so I was probably undiagnosed for a couple of years. I thought what I was dealing with was these residual effects of the concussions because I had all these neurological symptoms like numbness and tingling throughout the body, neuropathy, intense pain. But then it led to food allergies and anxiety and insomnia. It was like my body was just going through it. And I finally figured out it was Lyme disease, but there's this idea that you can't cure Lyme disease. You only kind of put it into remission with antibiotics. And as a 21-year-old, kind of gung-ho kid, I was like, I'm not taking that as the answer. I'm going to figure this out. And so I happened to connect with a friend who did something called bee venom therapy, which, long story short, I stung myself with 30 honeybees a week for a year and cured my
Oh
Lyme disease and completely
no.
cured it. Yeah. So I've been cured now 6, 7 years. I feel amazing. But during the time of stinging myself, I was obviously in a lot of pain and pain on the sting sites, but it also kind of brings your worst symptoms to the surface before you get better. It's kind of this crazy, like, makes a chronic condition acute, brings these things to the surface, and then you get over the symptoms, if you will. But I started experimenting. I had a friend in Colorado who gave me the CBD initially. He started sending it, and I was making products just to put on the sting sites to help with the pain. So this is where we'll get to the pickleball in a little bit, but essentially I was my own guinea pig, just trying to help myself with pain relief, pain on my knees, which flared up from Lyme disease, pain in the neck from, chronic neck tension, things like that. And I was also making products for anxiety, for sleep. And so I launched another business called Jimbo and Jules with my business partner, Jules, fresh out of college. And we started developing these products, CBD based products for pain, stress, and sleep. And that's been going for about 5 years. The business is still active, very similar ethos where we're passionate about sustainability, all natural wellness. And last year, I connected with a friend whose parents were really into pickleball and they enjoyed our Jimbo and Jules products, but they were like, you know what? I think you guys, there's an amazing community of folks here. They're, in their 60s and 70s, love getting active. And there's this amazing community where they're in pain, they're sore, they're being active again after maybe not having an activity for a while. And I noticed this kind of draw to serve people that are really passionate about something that is fresh and new. And so the pickle stick was born out of a desire not just to help folks, feel good after they're playing and sore, but also help them get ready to be on the court. And so the pickle stick is mess free, all natural, really easy to use, which was a big thing of like, okay, if I'm going to the pickleball court, I need something that's easy to use and easy to throw into my bag. So all of a sudden it was this organic, process that I began developing, and we wanted it to be a really fun brand. The pickle stick inherently invites a lot of comedy. A lot of people don't know what it is. And we kind of play into that and lean into it. And so what's funny is the business started growing and then I started getting into pickleball. So I feel super new to the sport, which is fun. It's like I can look at it from a really innocent eye and not feel like I'm above anybody. I'm really just learning with the folks that are just getting into it, which is very exciting. So it feels like the journey's just beginning.
How exciting. That's a great story, Jova. So I wanted to ask you about how did you research and come up with, the right blend for the pickle stick, but I kind of want to take it all the way back to what you were doing with the bees. Like, are you just experimenting on your own, or are there studies around all of this and you're just kind of figuring out what's right for you? Like, what was the process from the bees all the way to now?
Yeah, it's a great question. So interestingly enough, apitherapy, which is bee venom therapy, has been used for thousands of years. There's actually accounts of ancient Chinese practitioners, 2000 BC, using apitherapy on acupressure points. So there's, a rich history of using this, the idea as poison as medicine. And it was actually researched in Europe in the early 1900s as a remedy for a lot of different things, arthritis, other chronic illnesses like fibromyalgia, MS. But then World War II comes around and you have the antibiotic boom. We need something quick. We need something fast that works. And to be honest, a lot of the funding just went away. There wasn't a lot of money in bee venom therapy. It's very hard to get venom out of a honeybee without it actually stinging the person. And so every time I would sting myself with the honeybee would die. So it was a very intense, as I'm getting my life back, I'm killing a bee. That factors into, we actually donate $1 from every stick to native habitat conservation to help pollinators. So I'm really passionate about giving back. But anyway, so it really just has become this fringe thing in the last, say, 80 years or so. And for me, when I stumbled upon it, it was a friend who was a caretaker for a family that all had Lyme disease. And one of her jobs, like these folks were bedridden. They could barely get out of bed. They were so sick. They were undiagnosed for maybe 10 years, got misdiagnosed with MS. I mean, it was really, really intense. One of her jobs was stinging them with honeybees. They had hives and she would go collect the bees, and then you sting on your back. So you sting an inch to the right and an inch to the left of the spine. That gets the peripheral nerve to essentially make it a systemic effect. So, because Lyme is, all throughout the body. And when I met her in college, I just, it was like I was struck by lightning. I was like, I don't care. I'm going to look into this and figure it out and see if it works. And so there are some studies, and actually now it's being more studied. It's being studied for HIV, which is wild. for other STDs, for other chronic illnesses. So I, I think we're going to see this, in the next decade or so, more research being dedicated to it. But right now, it's a lot of, empirical evidence of people that have been doing it for Lyme. And there's a protocol, I followed a protocol. There's a Facebook group of 10,000 people that I was a part of that had support. But it was very, I did it all to myself. I would stand in front of a mirror, hold the bee, pop it on the spine, and you let it sit there for 20 minutes and it pumps the venom, and then you get it out with a tweezer. And so it
Oh my
was
God.
grassroots.
Wow. So what was the research you did to create the pickle stick?
Yeah, so that, I had this experience from Jimbo and Jules, the original business of essentially at that time when I started. So this was fresh out of college in 2018, where I was truly just my own guinea pig. I was doing research from reading herbal texts to looking up clinical studies on different ingredients and the limited data on CBD at the time. Now there's a lot more rich data on CBD and the benefits. But at the time, it was just kind of following the experiment, like being a crazy, experimenter. That's what it looked like, my kitchen.
Mad
It was,
scientist.
yeah, and I'd give it to friends and family and be like, are you guys also feeling, the effects? Because to me, it really works. And we initially found things that didn't work, and so we're able to A/B test, like, okay, this really makes an impact, this doesn't. But it was so grassroots until we finally found our, I would say, core ingredients, and kind of the way we experiment became a little bit more like, I like to say we're a small business with big business technology. And so one example I can give is CBD. When you mix it up there, I don't know how familiar you guys are with CBD, but it's kind of the Wild West. There's a lot of products out there that simply don't work. There's kind of snake oil. There's not very much regulation, and there's not a lack of education of what makes a product good and what makes a product not work. One of the things with CBD that's unique is when you mix it by hand, the molecules of CBD are very sticky. They stick to themselves. And so it might look like it's all mixed up. When you pour the product, you might have one product that has a lot of CBD and another product that has very little. So if you're not testing the batches, which is not required by anybody, we test everything as everybody should, but there's no way to actually know. And people might be meaning well, but it's not homogenous at all. And so we have a homogenizer that spins at 30,000 RPMs, mixes it up, cuts it up, makes sure everything is perfectly even. And that's things you're going to find in high-end labs that, we're using to make sure there's the consistency in the product. And so I feel like with the pickle stick, my main goal was easy to use, mess free, easy to use. I want it to be that kind of like working person's athlete's stick that they can just put in their bag, rough it up, and it's going to not melt on the court, and it's going to, be effective all the way to the end. So it was like I used my experience from Jimbo and Jules to then make something that I felt really served the athletes, the pickleball players that are going to be using it.
Wow, that's a lot of research that's gone into it. And
Yeah.
we have been so lucky to be able to use the pickle steak ourselves, which we have here. And what I love a lot about it is the ingredients that you use are so pure and natural. Can you talk a little bit more about what those ingredients are?
Yeah, for sure. So, CBD is obviously the champion. It's and to kind of explain for those that are maybe unfamiliar or have heard a lot of maybe the buzzwords about it. When it's in a topical product, there's kind of two things that it's going to do. It's going to help with the inflammation, and it's going to enhance blood flow to the area where it's applied. And so if you have soreness or, say an injury, oftentimes blood's getting kind of clogged up and there isn't a lot of circulation there. And so the CBD is actually going to help get things moving while simultaneously helping with the inflammation. We use something called full spectrum CBD, or full spectrum hemp. And without getting too in the weeds, the hemp plant has over 100 cannabinoids or cannabinoids. CBD is just one of those, and all of those cannabinoids are being researched for therapeutic effects. THC is another one that's very popular. That's the one that gets you high. And actually so our product will not get you high even if you eat it. But there is 0.1% THC in the product, and all of the clinical data suggests that a full spectrum product, meaning a product that has a tiny bit of THC, essentially activates, enhances the benefits of the CBD. So if you just isolate CBD, you lose a lot of the therapeutic benefits. So it's kind of interesting, if you go on our website, you can look at the test results and see, oh, there's something called CBC, there's something called CBG. And depending on how nerdy you like to get, you can start learning about the effects of each of these cannabinoids and understand that, okay, it's kind of like a community that's making each of the ingredients essentially more effective. So that's CBD, that's the hero. But also there's moringa oil, which is great for inflammation. That's something that for skin conditions people use for like eczema and things like that. It's also going to help with soreness. Jojoba oil is one of my favorite ingredients. We use it in a lot of our products in Jimon Jewels as well. It helps other ingredients absorb better because essentially it mimics, it's called the sebum on our skin. So the skin almost recognizes it as something familiar and allows it to absorb. Whereas the beeswax and the coconut oil that are also in there function to kind of seal everything in. Like the beeswax is going to keep the product, if you apply, and maybe you guys could speak to this, when you apply, it's not greasy, but you feel it kind of on the skin for a period of time. So that's important to lock in the moisture, allow for that optimal absorption. And a lot of people ask this question, does it smell like a pickle? And we thought about it long and hard, like, should we do that? But no one wants to smell like a pickle all day. I love pickles, but I don't want to smell like one. So we actually crowdfunded the scent, which was really fun. I just very DIY, went around to people in Denver, that's where I'm based, to friends, and had them kind of choose their favorite scent. And so peppermint and rosemary is what we use. And what's cool is rosemary, while most folks are familiar with it in their kitchen, we actually use a type of rosemary that's high in camphor. And you maybe would recognize camphor, the aroma. It's very kind of spicy and fresh. That's in like Bengay and Icy Hot and stuff has that aroma. But camphor is great for pain as well. So we like to think of the aroma not just as something that smells good when you put it on, but also being effective for the main goal, which is that pain relief as well.
Yeah, I love, the way it made me feel. I loved all the thought that you put into this product. That it's fascinating that you kind of thought of every angle of like what the ingredients should be and the effects it would have, the smell it has. It doesn't mess up your clothes because I like playing with sleeves on,
Yeah,
and I like rub it on my elbow, rub it on my shoulder, and I don't have to worry about it getting my clothes stained or
that's
anything like that.
awesome.
It doesn't stain anything. Like, I'm Chinese, so I grew up using, Tiger Balm,
Yes,
right?
right.
And the old Tiger Balm was a red, and if you touch your clothes to it, it stained your clothes, and you couldn't
For
it was just a
sure.
mess. It's just a mess.
Yes,
But yours is so clean. It doesn't I never have to worry about it. I can rub it on, put my clothes on. I usually give it a minute or 2 before I put my shirt on over it.
yes. Yeah, good
But I
idea.
do feel like when I put it on my elbow, and then I put my sleeve on my elbow, it feels like it's even more, I don't know, intense. I don't know if that's the
Nice.
right word for it, but it
Yeah,
kinda
like
like,
the little compression kind of
yeah,
allows it to absorb, maybe. That's interesting.
yeah, so that was cool. I was telling Bridgie, earlier in our first segment that I strained my side, not playing pickleball. I just got out of the chair wrong, and,
Of
all of a sudden I
course.
tweaked my side.
Happens to the best of us, yeah.
And I've been using it for that, not only on the pain point, but kinda up and down my hamstring and my side of my leg where I think it's kinda stemming from.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to bring that up because it helps non-pickleball injuries too. Just because it's called the pickle stick, it
Yes.
helps with all types of soreness and muscle issues.
I'm so glad you brought that up. I think a lot of people have been conditioned to use a product for pain, let's say when they're already in pain, or like after a certain activity where it's like, I'm going and doing this thing, I'm getting sore, so I'm going to only use it after that. Whereas I like to use it as kind of part of my daily routine. I also tore both of my ACLs. So I just have, these creaks and cracks, and I feel pretty good, but I'm in pain every now and then. And so I use it before I go on the pickleball court. And we really try to educate people on like, use it and feel good when you get out there. You're going to perform better if you're feeling good. And so I also get a lot of that too. Like, oh, I don't play pickleball. Can I use the pickle stick? And it's like, well, if you're in pain, then the answer is yes. So I'm really glad to hear it's helping you with that. The side injury. And also, I think you bring up a great point too of, while it is a very targeted product, being in the stick form, it's great for targeted areas, but using it kind of around, oftentimes when we have an injury, more than just that spot is getting tense and kind of locking up. So using it on a broader area is a great move as well.
Yeah. And I do also want to take a moment to talk about the packaging that it comes in as well. Uncle mentioned that it's a thoughtful product, and not just the insides are thoughtful, but the outside as well. You mentioned it's an easy to use tube. So, explain to our listeners what that style is, and also the material that it's made out of, too.
Yeah, for sure. So, one of the things when the original Jimbo and Jules was starting, we've kind of faced this reckoning of, if we start a products based business, it inherently comes with waste, to the way most products based businesses are today, plastic and tons of external packaging, things like that. And we really wanted to create what we call a planet first business model. And so that basically means that every decision is filtered through a lens that the planet gets the first seat at the table. So there's no compromises. On paper, it might look like we make some foolish business decisions, but we're doing that for the sake of the planet. And so when it comes to the pickle stick packaging, it's made from post-consumer waste paper, and it's fully home compostable. So if you finish your pickle stick, when you finish it, you can cut it up into pieces and put it in your garden, or put it in a compost if you have one. It'll return to the soil in just 2 to 3 weeks. If it's not cut up, it'll probably be about 4 to 6 weeks. But the idea is this completely circular model of it's almost as compostable as a pickle, actually. It's like,
Oh, wow.
it comes from nature and it returns to nature in the same way. And we want to kind of shift this idea that the packaging has to look perfect at the end of its life. Like, you'll probably notice, if you keep it in your bag and you're using it kind of rough, it'll look a little worn, but the product inside is still going to be safe. And so we get some folks that say like, oh, it looks a little worn, I don't like the aesthetic. But we're actually trying to shift the narrative of, hey, that's a cool thing. That's like the thing that we should all be striving for, is that the packaging is just there to protect the product. And it can, when it returns to the soil, like, that's an epic feat. And so, every single one of these tubes is hand rolled uh
Wow.
by us. So it takes a long time. It's very much a labor of love to make these. And that kind of one thing we were going to talk about a little bit is the price point of the product. And so they're $38, and we get some folks that think, oh wow, it's a small tube, that's expensive. And the reality is, hand rolling every single one of these tubes, investing in ingredients from small scale farmers. We really try to support the whole supply chain. If we just pop this in a plastic tube, got some cheap ingredients, sure, we could sell it for a lot less. But again, that planet first model comes with a responsibility to kind of level up in every aspect of it. And so we hope that people can see that and kind of educate on the reason why it's so expensive. I mean, every tube is made by hand, rolled by hand, but then poured by hand. We're very small teams, so it's as grassroots as it gets, really.
Oh, you have, I mean, it's paying off. And I haven't asked Bridget yet. How did it work for you? I kind of went into how it worked for me. I have two questions for you, actually. First of all,
Okay.
how did it work for you? And the second, Jimbo mentioned earlier that, won't melt if you bring it out to the courts and you're in a bag. You're in Las Vegas.
Oh
I was just
yes.
there. It's 100 degrees out, right? So did you have any problems with melting, and how did it perform for you on your body?
So great questions. Um, I love this product so much. And when Uncle was telling me about his strain, I asked him immediately. I was like, "Are you using your pickle stick?" And he's like, "Yeah." And I was like, because I just kind of went for a hike and whatever, and my back was feeling a little bit stiff, and I had some issues earlier in the year with like bulging discs in my back. So
Mm,
I used it on there. Super easy to apply, especially with it being on my backside, and the way that the stick is formed. It's super easy to put on. And I noticed the pain being alleviated within minutes of putting it
wow.
on, like the tingliness of it. I love the smell. But as you mentioned, it does kind of help with that pain relief too. Instead of it feeling so tight, it started kind of releasing, and like, I don't know, I can't speak highly enough of the pickle stick,
Wow.
and I love it. And I'll make sure that every person that has pain on the court or may have pain on the court after I'm done playing them has a pickle stick.
Yeah, yeah. You don't wanna give it to them before. You gotta smoke them first.
Yeah,
It's like yeah.
exactly.
Well, thank you so
um,
much for sharing. I mean, that's
yeah.
amazing to hear, especially the how fast you said it worked. I mean, that is something that is it truly is different for everybody. For some, it takes a few uses because CBD will actually build up in the body over time. So using it consistently will increase its effectiveness. Which is hard for some people really want that instant fix. And I love anytime I hear someone say like it really works within minutes because for some folks it does. But that's not everybody, and some people kind of give up on it. And so I always try to encourage, use it every day, maybe even a couple times a day for a week and see does it make an impact for you. But thank you so much for sharing. I mean, that's what I live to hear. Really,
Yeah, no,
both
I
of y'all.
love it.
Yeah.
And for the melting piece of it, I haven't brought it out onto the court for hours on end, but I have had it in my bag in the car, which gets pretty darn hot as well.
Yes.
And I haven't experienced it melting. I do think the packaging though, if it did have any sort of melting, would keep it all together. And then if you just let it like put it in a cooler area, it would just solidify back into the tube, and it would just be as if nothing happened to it. So um
Yes.
I have not experienced it melting yet, like a
That's
number of my
awesome.
clients have.
It'll definitely get soft in the heat because we don't use any, chemicals to keep it from doing that. But, the way I tested it actually, it was Colorado gets hot too. I have a black car. I closed all the
Oh.
windows. I put it on the dashboard, and I had a few before we got the final that did melt. And it was like, "Okay, up the beeswax, up the things that are harder, play with the ratios." And eventually we got to a point where, yeah, 100 plus degrees, no problem, maybe a little soft, but no melting fully. So
Yeah.
that's good to hear.
That is, I mean, you really have thought of everything. How long did it take you to actually get the final product from the time you decided that you wanted to create it?
It was, I would say, well over a year of iterating with both Jimbo and Jules. And then when the pickle stick was created, it was like I was getting to this place where, I started getting comfortable with the packaging. And so it was a lot of, I mean, over 100 iterations of the proportions, the ingredients, how much of the essential oils, the peppermint and rosemary to use, because I don't want, sometimes when you put on products like Icy Hot or something, it's like overbearing scent. It just smells up a whole room. And I'm a very sensitive person in general to smells, to chemicals, you name it. And so I wanted something that was, subtle enough, but you could still feel it if it's on yourself. And so, yeah, it's so fun. I'm a musician as well. You can see the guitars in the background. And I was just talking to a friend the other day that making this product and making other products is almost like writing a song for me. It's very creative. I'm just there and kind of in this flow state of trying different things and then giving it to friends, giving it to family, seeing what works. And it's like I'm not making a product just to make it money. It's like I want something that really makes an impact for me, and then giving it to others to hear the stories like you guys shared. That's what it's all about for me is helping people feel better.
Yeah, well, it's a great product and a great company that you've got going on. For the listeners who are interested, I'm sure after hearing all of this, in purchasing a pickle stick, where's the best way they can get a hold of one?
Yeah, so the picklestick.com, that's where it's at. We hope to be in stores soon. But for right now, the picklestick.com is where it's at. And we do have a special code for Third Shot listeners. So if you use the code Third Shot spelled out, you will save $5 on your first pickle stick.
Oh, that's awesome. Thanks for doing that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what's next for you and the pickle stick?
Great question. I really want to engage in more community events here in Denver. There's, of course, a lot of tournaments. There's a really vibrant community. And so getting more established and engaged with that community, being able to show up and provide pickle sticks for a lot of people at events is a big goal. And also getting into more stores. We have these cool point of purchase display cases that have a lot of fun branding on them that are really ready to just be in, any type of sports shop. And so I'm excited for that kind of next level to be able to get into stores as well. Social media, it's been fun, really fun to engage that community, but I feel like for a product like this to be able to get into some bigger stores would be really awesome. So I'm excited for that.
Well, congratulations on everything you've done.
Thank you. And this is my first podcast I've been on for the Pickle Stick. So thank you so much for having me. I love what you guys do and the energy you bring. It's really fun. And so I'm really grateful for the opportunity.
That's amazing. Yeah. Let's do a toast to your first podcast representing the pickle stick.
Yes.
Awesome. Cheers, y'all.
Cheers to you, Jimbo.
Thank you. I'm getting hydrated over here. What are you guys drinking?
I am drinking a peach White Claw.
Nice. I love a peach White Claw out of a shot glass. Respect.
Right?
That's awesome.
Come on.
Mine is canned water because we try to do away with plastics over here. Yes. So another reason to love the pickle stick. And there it is.
Amazing. Yeah. Love it. We're plastic-free podcast right now. That's what
we are.
Yeah.
Awesome. What was the term that you used? You wanted to give back to the earth. What was the term?
Planet first.
There you go.
Planet first.
We are a Planet First podcast. That's right here.
Trademark it.
Well, thanks again, Jimbo, for coming on with us. And thank you, all you listeners, for joining us on Third Shot, where Bridgie and I will continue to share our pickleball journey. Real special thanks to Jimbo for joining us today. Please go check out his website, thepicklestick.com, and on Instagram, thepicklestick. And please use your discount code. It's a fantastic product. It's worth every penny of it. But if you can save $5, use your Third Shot discount code when you go onto the site. And you can support this show by subscribing. And we promise to have more amazing guests just like Jimbo on future episodes. Let's continue to share our enjoyment for the game. And let's grow this pickleball community together. See you next time on Third Shot Podcast.